Hello, today I will be describing the concept of my citizen science project and explaining its purpose in contributing to the environment. For my project, I wanted to find optimal locations for birds to feed. Using 3 identical bird feeders with the same feed type at 3 different locations, I observed the variety of birds over a period of time to determine where the optimal feeding location is. With the data I collected, I wanted to deduce what factors were essential in determining where a bird would most likely feed. Was it a big leafy tree, a medium branchy tree, or a tree that is small and low to the ground? The bird feeders I used were wooden, with plastic sidings and a removable top, which made the bird feed easily visible and accessible. Because the type of the feed and its vessel were identical in each location, I could factor out any sort of error that would cause my data to be insignificant. This would have happened in the event that I had different types of feeders and different types of food, each in a different location. The feeders were placed in 3 trees around my house, oriented in 3 different directions. This helped to determine whether the amount of sun hitting the tree at the time observed was a factor in determining where the best location is. The trees were a pignut hickory tree facing north, a mulberry tree that faces east, and a dogwood facing southwest. Unfortunately, it was difficult to determine if the orientation really made a difference, being that there was one different type of tree per orientation. If there was each type of tree in each orientation, it would have been easier to determine if the direction in which the tree faced was an actual factor. The hickory tree pictured here was a poor location, as I noticed at the beginning. This tree is the largest, faces directly towards the sun, and has thick branches. Because of this, squirrels ate the birdseed before the birds did. After watching this happen for a couple of days, I removed the feeder entirely and concluded that it was not the best tree for the job. The mulberry tree, a medium-sized tree, faced some similar problems with the squirrels, yet less frequently. This tree was better than the hickory tree. Its size allowed for it to be partially shaded by the taller trees around it, which I found that the birds preferred. The branches thinned out towards the end of the tree, and the birds preferred using this because they could sit and wait for the feeder to become available. A lot of the smaller birds, such as the warblers and the chickadees, preferred this tree. The dogwood tree was the smallest tree. Around this tree were a few other trees that were taller, where some birds would stay and wait for the availability of the feeder, and these other trees also provided full shade for the dogwood. This tree is also lower to the ground so that birds that had insects in their diets and fed from the ground could also access it. The most present bird at this location was the cardinal, but I also observed blue jays, sparrows, and robins at this location. I organized the data I collected and determined that the best location for the birds to feed was at the dogwood tree, a fully shaded tree, lower to the ground, too small for squirrels, and had enough space around it for the birds to be comfortable and not face any sort of aggressive behavior in the event that another bird wanted to feed at the same time. In conclusion, bird feeders should be placed in an